Hello, good morning, and welcome to Morning Brew on Hughes of the World. I'm the Hughes, and if I make the camera go back a little bit, it's a bit too close in there. There's the world. Hello, good morning, and welcome. I hope you're all feeling fruity this morning. I hope you're all feeling good. We've got Viper Scott in the chat. We've also got Gallifreyan Wren. We've got Billy Kershaw. We've got Townsend, Leapshin, Paula Thomas. Hello. How are you all doing this morning? I'm Graham Hughes. Hello. Oh, hang on. My button did. Oh, there it is. A button didn't. I pressed the button. Nothing happened. It is Thursday, the 21st of May, 2026. Welcome one, welcome all. Listen, if any of you want to join in the chat here, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button. Wait for approximately 1 minute and you'll be able to join the chat. Lots to get through today, and something that Rachel drew my attention to this morning is the fact that the trans guidance is going to be published today. So we will talk about that because I know a lot of people watching this are acutely concerned about what the fuck is going to be in this bloody thing, which is not going to be great, is it? Let's face it. But we'll come to that in a moment. First of all, I want to talk about basically go big or go home, which is what I've called the video today, because Labour is in crisis, and it's not just about personalities. It's about whether the party knows what story it's telling the country. It appears at the moment to be incredibly, I know I shouldn't use this term, but schizophrenic, okay? Or at least, let's say, without trying to use terms that are deemed offensive, that there's a cognitive dissonance going on in the heart of Labour. You have a party that wants to make a positive case. Half the party wants to make a positive case for immigration. Half the party is like, oh, better not, better clamp down on immigration, lads. Yeah, better stop people coming from other countries. It's upsetting the native population. And you can have a look at how trans people are being treated. Don't forget, we've gone from being top 10 years ago. We were top of the rankings for LGBTQ plus rights in the whole of Europe. We had the best protections under the law, and we have thrown them all away. We've sacrificed them at the altar of the 4 women in Scotland who decided that they wanted to make trans people's lives a misery. J.K. Rowling, Jack Rowling, I think his name is. I don't know. He's a writer. He sometimes goes under the name of Robert Galbraith because it's okay for him to change his gender, but no one else can. Has donated hundreds of thousands, millions of pounds this campaign to just be horrible to trans people. And half the Labour Party are like, this is disgraceful, this is disgusting. And the other half are like, yeah, we should make life even worse for trans people. So we're talking about Starmer and, his downfall essentially. And it's not that his policies have been all bad. There's been some all right ones in there, I have to admit. But the problem is they're not telling a great story. And I think because there's so much of this cognitive dissonance, holding 2 opposing ideas in your head, or in this case, in the Labour Party at the same time, is ruining them. It's absolutely ruining them because, the party doesn't know what story it's trying to tell. And Starmer's policy problem isn't just policy, it's the absence of a compelling moral narrative. And this is what I hate Farage, I hate Trump, I hate the Tories, but they had a narrative. They had a thing that the people who voted for them were striving towards. It was a horrible thing. It wasn't a moral narrative. It was a grossly immoral narrative in which the rich get incredibly rich and the poor are just left behind. Burnham isn't Labour. He's not the leader. He might be in the future, but he's not the leader. his pitch at the moment is that he can tell a story. He can tell a story of Manchester. He's been mayor there for 9 years. I had someone yesterday go, "Oh, he's quitting his term halfway through," and I'm like, he's been there for 9 fucking years. Okay, I mean, I've said before, I think he should have stayed on till the end of his tenure, but I think push came to shove at the end of the day. But he can tell a compelling story about Manchester, buses, devolution, public ownership, renewal, regional pride. Of all of the cities that aren't London, Manchester is growing at the fastest rate. You can see the money that's coming in, the investment that's coming in. And Wes Streeting, on his resignation speech yesterday in the House of Commons, said that Labour must be bolder or refuck walks into number 10. He didn't call them refuck because you're not supposed to call them that. But and what we're seeing, there's a few stories out today, but there's one about a welcome thing where over the summer they're going to Labour are going to offer free bus rides to kids under the age of 15, right? And fuel duty freezers and food tariff cuts. But I think the danger here is that Labour is mistaking activity, saying, "Look at me, look what we've just done," with direction, because it all needs to be part of a story in our minds. Humans are natural storytellers. We remember stories way better than we remember facts. We just do. It's just the way our brains work. It's just the way they're wired. It's why the Australian Aboriginals was a continuous civilization, a set of civilizations, many thousands of civilizations over the course of 50,000 years. And they didn't need any written language because everything didn't need to be written. You were told a story and you remembered the story. In the same way that you remember fairy tales that you were told when you were a kid, Aboriginal kids are taught a map, but it's a story, right? So they're taught, all the rainbow serpent came, laid some eggs over there, and that's where the boulders are. And then there was a giant kangaroo came along and had a fight with a koala, and that's where the forest is, and that's where the water runs through, and all this kind of stuff. So the human brain is narrative driven. It's why we are so hungry for stories. We love stories. That's why we spend so much money at the cinema. That's why we read books. We don't read books because they're a list of words. We read books because we want to be told a compelling story, and Labour are not telling anyone a compelling story. And nowhere is this more obvious than in the situation with immigration. Net migration has fallen sharply from nearly 1 million in the year up to March 2023 to just over 200,000 in the year up to June 2025. But many voters believe it's still rising when it's not. But Labour are not setting out a compelling vision. They're not, because they're kind of embarrassed, I think, at what they're doing to immigrants. They're making it more difficult to get settled status. You've got to be here 10 years now, and they're going to make it so that if your country is deemed safe, you can be deported back there as an asylum seeker. When asylum seekers, people think that asylum seekers make up like half the people coming here. They don't. They barely make up 9%. I think it's even less than that. But this matters because politics is often, shaped by perception, not reality. And this is hugely where Labour have fallen down. And it's comms. It's comms. We'll just say it straight out. It always comes back to comms, doesn't it? Always. Reform thrives in the gap. The official figures say one thing, but the visual politics of boats and migrant hotels say another. And Labour's mistake would be to thinking that simply sounding tougher fixes the problem, and all it's doing is validating Refuck's framing of the narrative. And we've got to stop. Well, Labour have got to stop fucking doing that. It's stupid. It is idiotic. It's moronic. It's a bad way of dealing with what's ahead of us on the political terrain. Labour need to tell a better story about migration and talk about how we need people to come from all over the world. Tell the stories of people who have come here and made a difference. Interview people, older people who have been looked after by doctors who have come from Nigeria, or interview people whose companies were turned around because they had workers coming from Bangladesh that did the job so fucking well, and now they're, you know, doing really well. Something aspirational. But no, every news story that we have about immigrants and every news story we have about trans people, it's always negative. It's always look at what they've done. Nine times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, they've done anything fucking wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like, they just got on with it. They just, you know, it's just living. They've lived. They've done something that most people just take for granted, like gone the fucking toilet. But yeah, Burnham, Burnham's camp. Burnham hasn't said anything himself, but there's a big story in the Guardian yesterday about him backing Mahmoud's immigration changes. He's trying to frame them as firm but fair, and I think they are delusional. I think they're grossly immoral. But Reform are incredibly strong in Makerfield, and Burnham knows that he needs to win there. It's a high-risk by-election, and Burnham cannot afford to be caricatured as open borders Andy. He cannot afford to be caricatured as rejoin the EU Andy. He cannot be he cannot afford to be caricatured as someone who wants to let trans women go to the fucking bathroom. This is where our politics is now. Because of the interference of billionaires, by the way. We're here because of the interference of billionaires in our politics. Whether it's Elon Musk or Vladimir Putin or Trump's camp, whether it's the oil oligarchs interfering in our democracy and paying for these think tanks out of 55 Tutton Street that come up with new wizard wheezers every fucking day to pick they spin the wheel of hate, and they decide single mums, single mums, menopausal women, trans women, black women, whatever it is, usually women, immigrants, Muslims, Jewish people. You know, if there's a serious risk that if Labour accepts Reform's stance on this, Reform still owns the issue. And this is why I think that being bold is something that I can understand why Burnham's going along with it to win in this by-election. But once if things go the way he thinks it's going to, if he becomes Prime Minister, they have to take Labour in a new direction that is absolutely Labour's. Not trying to parrot the Tories or parrot the dickheads in refuck, but is absolutely Labour. We need voting reform. We need a green revolution. We need better rights and protections for our trans sisters and brothers. We absolutely need all this stuff. And it can happen. There's no reason why it can't happen. You know, none of this is inevitable. None of this, because look at other countries. They're not picking on trans people the way they're picked on here. The only other country I can think of, or countries, is America and Russia. I mean, if you're trans, you're going to have a better time in Iran. I know. Years ago, when Farage reignited the immigrant fire, I said, okay, sign a waiver. When you go to hospital, you can only see my English staff and see how long you'll be sat there. Do you know, Paul, that would make a fucking brilliant video. That would make a fucking brilliant... Do you know what? It just pisses me off. I'm not part of a fucking think tank with unlimited fucking resources. I'll do that. Do a day in the life. A day in the life of I'm not doing anything with any immigrants, like no immigrants. So I'll go into a coffee shop and I refuse to be served, and then I go to the hospital and I'll say no, you can't. You know, I'm not speaking to you because you're not from Britain. And see how I get on. You know, do it as like a mockumentary style thing. That's a brilliant idea, mate. Miss Paula Thomas, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. If we don't have some immigration, we're going to have real economic problems. But that's the thing as well. Our argument at the moment, Paula, and you're absolutely right, but our argument, I don't think that that's the argument that we should be making. And I had a discussion with Pranay, or Pranay had a discussion in the group, in the Politics Social group, on WhatsApp the other day, talking about how demeaning it is for a lot of immigrants to be seen as just, oh, they're just there to prop up the economy. They're there to do the jobs we don't want to do. And he's like, well, there's a lot of immigrants who come here who actually start a business and make a lot of money for this country. It's not just all the service jobs and things like that and care jobs. And I get that, and that's the thing. When we're talking about immigration, right? And I know this is an underlying thing. I'm not saying you're wrong, but economic problems. Like, you say the word economic to 99% of the people out there, right? Brains turn off. Brains turn off. There's no emotion in mathematics. You can talk about percentages till you're blue in the face. Everyone just switches off. They do. They just fucking do. What you need is a compelling narrative that makes a positive case for immigration without going down the route of saying X percentage growth of over a quarter over this, and then coming out with some statistics that involve acronyms, and you just people, you just lose people. You lose people. But a compelling narrative of like what life will be like without immigration into Britain, or someone refuses. Get someone dressed up with the Union Jack hat on and the Union Jack braces, go walking around, boom, 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 boom. Right, today it's just going to be England for the English. I'm not talking to anyone who's not English. And then, they get run over, and then, he's like bleeding out in the street, and then someone comes over, running over, saying, "Do you need some help, mate?" And he's like, no, I'm fine. I want someone white to help me. That kind of thing. I think that could cut through, especially if it's. I try and think of like clips that aren't an advert, but are the sort of thing that if you got like a racist uncle or a transphobic auntie or whatever, you can send them this video in reply to some nonsense they've put on Facebook or something. So they'll put something on Facebook saying like, transgender women aren't women or something like that. And then you put that video on as a reply to that thing. And it's funny and engaging and makes a really good point. Because I tell you, like, especially with the trans debate, which there shouldn't even be a debate, trans people are with us. You're not going to get rid of them. So you got two choices. You can try and exclude them from society, which is impossible, or you can welcome them into society and say you are welcome and give them a seat at the table and allow trans women, to use the toilet that they want to use, the one that they feel safe in. But yeah, So I think that we could. I find this whole thing just so demoralizing, to be honest with you, because, well, I mean, a lot of people who watch this are trans, and my heart goes out to you. It's just been so shit. It's just been so shit. And one of the reasons why it's been so shit is because this is happening under a Labour government that we expected better from. But again, they're not telling the story. They're not telling the positive story about immigration, about trans rights. What was wrong when 10 years ago when we were proud of the fact that for LGBTQ plus people, we were one of the best countries in the world for people to live in. And now we're one of the worst in Europe. I mean, I think we're the second worst in Europe after fucking Belarus for trans people now. And it's because of a big part of this is the government failing to sell, to tell a story, to tell a compelling story. And I would say that Burnham can do that. He can certainly do it better than Starmer. Objectively, he can do it better than Starmer. But I just really hate that he's having to go through this shit of going into this particular constituency and having to say, "Oh no, I'm not. I don't want immigrants coming. Yeah, they're bad. Yeah. Trans people. I don't think they should be allowed to go through a piss. That's bad. I get. Just to get himself elected, and I can see people getting very upset about it because they're like, well, he's lying. He's telling these. I'm like, well, this is the price you got to pay to be in politics. You've got to say what the voters in your constituency want to hear, and it might not be what people like me, people like you who aren't in the constituency, or people who are members of minority groups want to hear. But if we're gonna have a chance at shifting Labour in a direction that we want to see Labour go in, then I think it's going to be really, really important that not only Burnham wins, right, but also we give enough space to Burnham and not go, oh, now you're saying that you want to do stuff for trans rights. Oh, now you're saying you want to be closer to Europe. Oh, now you're saying you want to be more welcoming to immigrants if he gets in. Like, stop. We need to stop doing that. We need to stop and think the situation changes. Yeah, your opinion on something can change, right? At the moment, Burnham needs to fucking get in the gutter and fight like hell against Refuck. This is not a safe seat. I can't stress that enough. This is not a safe seat. But if you can win there, hopefully, if you can make it there, hopefully you can make it anywhere. But Burnham has this challenge ahead. It's only going to be for a month, and then hopefully, when he gets into number 10, and then he can start running the country in more of the way that we want to see it run, and be able to tell a compelling story that people can get behind. And listen, I've had me fucking hopes dashed on this before. I think we all have. When Labour got in, we thought, great, we're going in a whole new direction when it comes to rights, when it comes to immigration, when it comes to internationalisation of services, when it comes to the cost of living. Yay. And then Labour get in, and for a lot of people, a fuckload of people, it's felt like more of the same that we had under the Tories. Slightly more competent, I'd say, but even then there's been over 15 fucking U-turns. And what Burnham's got to go down this route to get elected, right? He's going to have to come out with some shit that I'm going to find really unpalpable. I'm glad that I'm not, I'm not one of the voters in Wakefield. Not Wakefield, sorry, Makerfield. I keep calling it the wrong bloody thing. But that this is where we have the sort of convergence, don't we, of the immigration story, the cost of living, child poverty, through child benefit cap, all that stuff, with the trans guidance story. This is, immigration and trans rights are obviously different issues, but they're being used in a similar way. They've been weaponized. They've been used as proxy wars for this for this idea that the country feels out of control because the government can't get a grip. The right wing do this repeatedly, pick a vulnerable minority, immigrants, asylum seekers, trans people, turn them into a symbol of national decline, and then pretend excluding them is common sense. Why do you think we have TV shows with names like Benefit Street? Why do you think we had Jeremy Kyle for a very long time? This privately educated, preening prick who would drag working class people onto his show to humiliate them. So much so that a man ended up taking his own life after appearing on the show. With migrants, the claim, there's lots of parallels here. With migrants, the claim is they're taking your services, and with trans people, it's they're taking your spaces. That should be yours. They're taking it away. What the fucking bog? Yeah, they're taking it away. Okay, the toilet's still there, right? Yeah. And the cubicle door still closes. Yeah. And if someone assaults you in the toilet, that's still a crime. Yeah, all those things are true. No, but they're taking something from you. And while people are obsessing over the fact that they can't get a doctor's appointment, and they'll blame immigrants for that, or there's a queue for the women's toilets and that must be the fault of trans women because there's so many trans women, right? That's why they're so difficult to scapegoat, because there's so many. Yeah, they're taking your space, they're taking your services. Look over here. Look at this. Look at this. Don't look over there. Don't look at the underfunding of the NHS for 14 years. Don't look at the fact that we need immigration because our birth rate is so low and loads of people are leaving this country. Quite understandably, I've got trans friends of mine who are leaving this country because of the way they're being treated, and they know there's at least 21 other countries in this continent where they will be treated better. And then the far right narrative, or the right wing narrative, always boils down to this person is taking your cookies. Don't ignore the guy who owns a cookie factory. No one in America is talking about the fact that Walmart doesn't pay its employees enough, so the government has to prop up the wages. So the government ends up paying a bit of the wages for the people who work at Walmart. By the government, I mean the American taxpayer. Yesterday I covered that story about Trump, and he's going to give $1 million to anyone who wants to go to Washington, D.C. next January and kill lawmakers. There was something else that came out as well from that, which was that Trump and his family cannot be tried for any crime, cannot be investigated by the IRS, cannot be audited for the rest of their lives. Alone, they're being taken out of the justice system. Justice doesn't count for them. I mean, I did talk about the end of America back in December of 2024, Just saying. What people saying in the chat, the trans debate is complete nonsense. Lots of cis people debating some philosophical bollocks and completely dismissing people's lived reality. Yeah, well put, Maggie Pie, well put. Absolutely. Reverend Caffey, it's not the opinion that changes any more than Streeting just became pro-wealth tax. They're both saying whatever people want to hear. It's what Starmer did. No, but Starmer didn't say what people wanted to hear. In fact, I think he went entirely in the other direction and just said to people, oh, the economy's fucked for the first few months, which is a stupid thing to do. And yeah, I mean, this is our issue, right? And we have a politics, we have a system of government, right? And governments all over the world are very, very similar in one way or another, right? That reflects humanity, that reflects the population. And yeah, we are mercurial. We do change our fucking minds. We do, say what needs to be said in a particular situation. If you're feeling awkward, you are going to lie. You are going to make a white lie because you don't want to make anyone feel embarrassed. You don't want to embarrass yourself. Yeah, of course you are. Everyone does that. And yet, the right are very good in a way, or recognizing the fact that the elected representatives are squishy little humans who make mistakes and fuck things up and say the wrong thing. The left, no quarter given. We talked about this before, but it's one of our biggest problems on the left, of this idea that this moral purity. You wrote a tweet 17 years ago saying this, and now you're saying that. Politicians shouldn't have opinions. They shouldn't have their firmly held beliefs. They should be tribunes of the people. And if the people say, we want this, if a majority of people say, we want this, they should fucking do it. But here's the thing, right? The other thing politicians should do, especially on the left, is tell a story. Tell a good story and get people on board. The right are fucking fantastic at this. This is why they beat us. This is why we always lose. They told a great story about the EU coming and taking our bendy bananas, they said. Not allowing us to have big condoms. They were coming to take away roundabouts, the roundabout toy, what they called, in children's playgrounds. Swings were going to be banned because they were too dangerous. They're going to be banned by the EU. They put about adverts saying that the EU were going to take away your cup of tea. I mean, it's not true, but it's a great story. So if you want to push the country in a particular direction, there are ways, there are levers you can pull in order to do that. Obviously, the anti-trans lobby have done that incredibly successfully, heartbreakingly. But we need to get better at this. We need to see our politicians, our elected leaders, as not infallible, because all they're going to do is just come up with new and inventive ways to let us all fucking down. We need to keep on them. I don't want a politician who gets into power with a bunch of ideas, and no matter how many letters you write to them explaining that their stance is fucking you over, they ignore it because they're, blinded by idealism. I think people should go into government to make things better, not for just one pet project that they want to smash through no matter what. That's my opinion on it. I think we ask too much, and I think we expect too much of our left-wing politicians. And I know it's frustrating. I know it pisses us off, but I'd rather have Starmer changing his fucking mind when he does something really fucking stupid and having a U-turn. I'd rather he did that than not U-turn. Did you know that Tommy 10 Names allegedly has over £1 million of crypto going through his company books a month? No, I didn't, but that doesn't surprise me. He's definitely paid by the most disgusting people on the planet who have got a lot of money. The only space trans people take up, says Ernie, is the deluded minds of bigots who never meet any trans people anyway. Yeah, I was going to mention that. Like, whenever you talk to someone who is, comes across as quite anti-trans, but isn't really across the whole situation, talk to them for 10 minutes and they completely fucking fall apart. Their arguments fall apart, to the point of absolute abject humiliation of like, can you justify any of this shit? It's an absolute fucking nonsense. Toilets are a fucking public space. No one goes in there because, something terrible's happened to them. I'll go into the McDonald's toilet on Lord Street. No, you fucking what? Why the fuck would you go there? Go to the fucking police station. Oh no, you can't because the police are fucking evil. And don't take women's rights seriously. But that's not the big issue. That's not the big issue. That these coppers fucking attacking women. And turning a blind eye to abuse. No, that's not the big problem. The big problem is trans women using the toilet. The problem isn't that women get paid a lot less than men. It's not a problem that 99% of rapists get away with it. Male rapists get away with it. Men terrified of being accused of doing something that they didn't do. You're more likely to be sexually assaulted yourself as a man by another man than you are for a woman to accuse you of something you haven't fucking done. And in fact, do you know what? Live your life looking over your shoulder, worried that you might get accused of doing something. Tell you what, you'll walk a bit differently down the street. Because like, oh, well, I better not do this because someone might accuse me of something. Okay, don't do it then. Don't put yourself in that situation. Maybe have that at the front of your mind. Just like women have to have at the front of their mind walking home, having a bunch of keys between their fingers in case a man attacks them. They don't fucking know. Not all men, yeah, but when you're walking down at night, walking down the street in the dark, it gets dark here at fucking 4 o'clock in the afternoon in winter. Having a man walking behind you hurriedly is fucking terrifying for women. Understandably, I think it's quite scary for most human beings, but particularly, especially a woman who may have been assaulted in the past, that's going to come back. J.K. Rowling was assaulted by an ex-partner, which is awful, and I feel sorry for the fact, for her for being assaulted in that way. But it was a cisgender man who did it. It wasn't a trans woman. And it's this thing of like, the right is so good at spinning a story, telling people that if we just do X, then we'll live happily ever after. Just do X, live happily ever after. And it's a simple narrative. So we find it on the left. I think we find it a bit overly simplistic answers to complex problems. But, I don't even think there's anyone trying on the left, except maybe like Zach Polanski, who's just trying to tell an actual story. Zach did a great video a few months ago where he was talking about hope and how hope has disappeared and he wants to help bring it back. That's a great story. Fucking tell it. Stream it from the rooftops. Sheffield Steve says, talking about GPs, I tried to call my surgery only to be answered by their new AI phone receptionist. You couldn't make it up. I fear anyone with mental health issues trying to call confused by it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Unique Bell. Sorry, Rebel. Sorry. Unique Rebel Janie. It's the trans people are taking away women's rights argument that bores my piss. Also, it's the trans people who want to take my rights away from my rights to abortion, my right to vote and work. Is it? Yeah, your right to be paid the same as a cisgender man. You know, for doing the same fucking job. Maggie says the trans. I've read that one. The trans debate is nonsense. Tommy 10 names. Sheffield says Sheffield says I feel someone who may have been undiagnosed dementia or something trying to call an AI receptionist getting confused, especially if they have to repeat what they've said. Yeah. And Gallifreyan, my existence is not a debate. Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. My agenda is to cook leftovers and mop the floor. The only threat I pose is to my own clumsy self, and I'm hoping Scotland will grant me asylum from the English. Yeah, but Gallifreyan, there's even worse fucking turfy turfs up there. It was 4 women in Scotland who made this whole fucking thing fall apart. You know, the Supreme Court judgment. I'd recommend Ireland. You can move to Ireland. Anyone, any British person can move and work and live in Ireland. No questions asked. But I hate that you're feeling like you have to do that. I wish you could just live here and just have fun. Just have a laugh, party, don't hurt anyone. Viral misinformation, pushing perceived grievances, exploiting the misery caused by austerity. Yeah, drainy, couldn't agree more. Nobody's existence or lived experience is up for debate. Everyone deserves the same rights, including to pee. Yeah, yeah. Or you lefties want straight bananas. Reverend Kathy, if we're worried about men and women's loos, what about all the money-making places employing male cleaners, every service station for a start? Yeah. It's a nonsense. It was something that wasn't a problem 10 years ago, and the oil companies decided that it should be a problem. Same with the EU. No one cared about it in 2010. No one cared about our membership of the EU in 2010. No fucker cared about it. No one gave a fuck. There was like UKIP got like 0.01% of the vote. No one gave a fuck. And then the oil barons and Vladimir Putin said, "Oh, you should care about this. It should be the most important thing ever." And people were told, they were sold a story, sunlit uplands. They were told a story about how Britain could unleash its power, but we were being held back by the European Union. Our membership of the European Union was preventing us from having very, very lucrative trade deals with Malawi. Yeah, and East Timor. Yeah. Yeah. Bolivia. God, if only we could get a really good trade deal with these countries that have got fuck all. And then they could just, I don't know, not buy anything off us. That'd be amazing. But we're being held back. And we just didn't tell a compelling narrative. We didn't do it then. We're not doing it now. Talking about figures, facts and figures. Things will get worse. Economics. Everyone turns off. Everyone turns off. You need stuff that's visceral. You need stuff that actually gets through to people on a human level. And this is what Labour's failed to do quite spectacularly. I mean, like I say, they've done half the policies that they put in their manifesto. They managed to achieve half of them already. And some of the stuff in there is really, really good. You don't fucking know it, though. You can't tell a fucking story. I was shocked to see someone's comment on YouTube about Carrie Johnson speaking out about the rapist taxi driver on last night's News and 10. They said, how come a rich lass only had £5 for the bus? Jesus Christ. Martin says, Kathy, I've seen more women in men's loos. Quite why I don't understand. They're disgusting. The bogs, not the women. Well, Martin, I'm going to push back on that. As someone who used to clean the toilets for a living in Manchester's Fab Cafe, I worked in the bar and I also worked as a cleaner. The women's toilets were always more filthy than the men's. The women's toilets were more grotesque than the men's to clean. The men just pissed on the floor, so you just had the mop. That's fine. The women, it was toilet paper fucking everywhere. Toilet paper that sticks to the floor. So you had like a sticky floor covered in toilet paper. Oh, it's horrible. Although, I've got to say, the men at the time, because you could smoke inside. Remember those days when you could, literally smoke inside and just kill everyone around you? Just sit there killing everyone around you slowly. Here you go, die. Die, motherfuckers. I'm having a good time. Do you remember that? Yeah, it's great, wasn't it? They used to throw the cigarette butts into the fucking urinal. Do we have a little robot that comes and picks them out? How do you get them out how do you get them out the pisser? How do you get them out the pisser? Especially if blocked up the fucking drain. Yep, marigolds on, into the piss. Thanks for that. Do you know what the other thing that smokers used to do as well? They used to pour beer into the ash can, the ashtrays. So it'd be full of cigarette dog ends, right? And then this disgusting orange brown slop, whatever. And then they'll pour beer into it. What are you supposed to do with that? Can't pour it down the sink, can you? And also, you can't put it in the bin because you're gonna get fucking hooky tobacco flavored fucking bin water coming out the bottom of the black bin bag. You literally got to drain it. You got to put your hand over get the marigolds out again. You got to put your hand over the ashtray and then try and get the water out of it. Try and get the beer out of it. Anyway, I'm not going to go off on one about smokers again because I know I upset people. And there's like in my super chats how much I get each day, and it goes down whenever I go off on a big mad rant about modern architecture or smokers. Anyway, so talking about the fact that the immigration arguments and the trans rights arguments are part of the same political machine, and the real failures are housing, wages, public services, underfunding, legal confusion, political cowardice. The cruelty is not accidental. The cruelty is the point. That is the strategy, and it's to deflect from the real issues that we need to tackle, because they don't make as phenomenal a narrative as women are being attacked, women are being assaulted at historically high levels, and the men who are doing it are getting away with it. What should we do? Should we get better policing? Should we get better justice system? Should we get better guidelines in place to for women who have been assaulted, so they can go through the process in a way that isn't horrifically invasive, getting hold of notes from therapists that the woman might have spoken to, or looking through their fucking private phone to see if there's any messages in there that might have led him on, so to speak. And all that's got to be looked at. But no, instead of doing that, we're going to absolutely obsess about the fucking toilet on the fucking happy eater on the A fucking 169. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, because that's the most important thing. That is the most important thing right now. And if you stop trans women using the girls' toilets, right, then just like with Europe, when we pulled out of Europe, we'll be able to do all these amazing things. And just that you're gonna close the gender pay gap. You're going to make it so men don't assault women. You're going to make it so it's 100% conviction rate for rapists. You're going to make it so the police aren't institutionally misogynistic. You got to sort all that out. You're going to get rid of all those presenters on the TV who abuse women and get away with it. You're going to get rid of, oh yeah, that's all going to go away magically. I mean, this is the problem with the right-wing narrative. You scratch the surface, the whole thing falls apart. There's just no grounding for it whatsoever. Oh, we have a problem. What's that? Women are being assaulted at historically high levels by men who feel empowered to just do what they want. Okay, well, how do we solve this? Well, if you could get a minority of the population, a minority of women, and tell them they can't use the bog. Okay. Just to get the ball rolling for Dizzer's fix. Oh, thank you so much. That is very kind of you, Viper Scott. A £2 super chat. I don't want to chat. I'm done. Why am I even here? Bye. Oh, L, please stay with us. Stick with us. We're on your side. We're on your side here. And L, you do have your life. You do have your identity. And you're a kick-ass human being. And we all love you on here. And we think you're funny as fuck. And we would rather have a world where you were with us. We'd rather have a channel where you're coming on here and telling shit jokes. Like, you matter to us. You do. And he's saying, like, it's like vicious dictators such as Putin are given more leeway than far better leaders trying to get their best, get far more criticism. Well, that's just Putin being Putin attitude. Yeah, the same. Well, we hold people on the left to higher standards, and I think we've got to the point now where they are impossibly high standards, and it ruins them. I mean, we can't go on like this. we have to start going, okay, these people make mistakes, and that's not great, but it's okay. They can make mistakes. We all make mistakes. They're fucked up in the past and they apologize for it. Yeah, cool. Let's move on. Let's move on to better things. But if a politician makes a bad move and then is terrified to change their mind because everyone will go, oh, you changed your mind. You say one thing and then you mean another. You're a liar. You're a liar, liar, liar. They won't change their minds. They'll stick to their guns no matter what. And that's the last thing we need, especially considering the narrative that's been spun by the mysteriously thundered think tanks of 55 Tufton Street. About 20 more years of finite materials left. When America uses them to fill ammunition and blow things up, making solar panels will be impossible. Yeah. She was 12 years old at the time. What young lass, rich or poor, is carrying a few £100 around the town and city? What an idiotic YouTube comment. Yeah. If someone commits a crime, then it is on them and only them. You can't apply it to a whole group of people, says Alvone. Yeah, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. And toilet bans, they're straight out of apartheid South Africa. They're straight out of the Jim Crow South in America. Having separate toilets for people perceived to be dangerous by society. Oh, no, you might do something. What? Because someone else did something once and you're part of the same group as them. You're part of the same cohort. If that's the case, fucking hell. White people are fucked, aren't they? What about the elderly? I mean, let's not forget their generation. The boomers had more serial killers than any other generation before or since. Should we just regard all old people as potential serial killers? Because a shocking number were. I mean, we can if you like. Oh, Viper Scott. Oh, that's really lovely. Oh, hugs. Lots of hugs. Chat, please give hugs to folks that need them, especially Elle right now. Oh, hugs. Thank you. Thank you so much, Viper Scott. That's very kind of you. And yeah, Elle. We're all sending hugs to Elle. Everyone, quick, group hug. Group hug, everyone. I love our little group. I love our place on the internet. I love that we don't get trolls except the day before an election. We you're a good lot. You watching this now, you're a good one. You're one of the good ones. You really are. Miss Paula Thomas, thank you very much. Miss says Viper Scott's super chat did not update the goal, but I hope mine will. We will see. No, yours didn't either. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what's going on, but I will release the confetti. I have confetti to release, and I will release the confetti. We've had four super chats so far. Miss Paula Thomas, Viper Scott, Miss Paula Thomas. So yeah, we've had 4. So one more, and I will release the confetti. If you want, Elle, we could release the Boba Fetty. Yeah. Sheffield Steve, I know we all despise Boris, but his wife Carrie or anyone doesn't deserve that happening to them. So why would anyone make a comment like that? It's shocking beyond me. Yeah. People are fucking scumbags, and they go on the internet. They can just hide, can't they? They can just hide behind anonymity. Gallifreyan Van, it cannot be reasoned with. It doesn't feel remorse, and it will not stop ever until you are dead. Turfs left from Skynet. Yeah. But don't forget that there's a lot of turfs who are very, very well funded. They're very well compensated for their bigotry. Sheffield, those people. Is that a verb? To Sheffield them? You've been Sheffielded. So yeah, this story. I mean, this is from a year ago when we were from 2011 to 2015. The UK was ranked first in Europe for LGBTQ plus rights. They topped the ILGA Europe's index for 4 years. We did. For L, thank you, Martin Harrow, and that means I can release the confetti. Confetti. Thank you, Martin. You are a legend. Sorry that the totalizer's not working in the chat. I'll just knock this off. I don't know why that's not working. So remove the goal. Go away. Goal successfully disabled. What I'll do is I'll put one super chat in, right? And then we'll see if we can get, if we get that and it works, you'll get confetti in the chat. You'll get confetti in the chat. I just told a mate of mine about the AI receptionist, and he was shocked. He lost his mum to FTD, dementia, early onset. So he's understandably concerned about that. Yeah. Well, as a lot of you know, my dad suffers from vascular dementia and has been bedbound now for, God, it's going to be 6 years. It's going to be 6 years in September. Bolskov, I was initially suspicious that Josh Simons stood aside for Burnham, but seeing the Labour together disclose, it seems that Simons was getting out of Dodge. Also, evidence McSweeney knew in January 2024. When it comes to this particular seat, right, it is high risk, and there's a part of me that thinks, oh God, why are you risking it all on this? But there's another part, like, if he can't win here, then he's not going to win the election for Labour in 2029. Simple as that. He's got to be able to win in Makerfield. He's got to be able to tell a compelling narrative and get people on side. But immigration and trans rights are both being used to tell this narrative of a country that's out of control. Oh, Indie Duck Mel, thank you very much for the 27 Swedish krona. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Did that count? Did it count? It didn't. I'm going to give you a confetti anyway. Thank you very much to. I turned it off. That wasn't meant to happen. Thank you very much, Indie Duck Mel. Appreciated. But yeah, this fall from the ranking in May 2025, so a year ago, we fell to 22nd out of 49 countries, our lowest ever position in history. In 2026, it remained at 22nd with a score of around 44 to 45%. ILGA Europe linked the UK's decline to the Supreme Court ruling and the loss of full legal recognition for trans people in areas of public life. And this is now seeing the UK being discussed alongside countries like Georgia and Hungary for the sharp regression of LGBTQ plus rights. And this should shame any government that Britain claims as a human rights leader. And this new guidance from the TERFs at the Equalities and Human Rights Commission, I mean, fuck off. It's expected to explain how services should operate after this Supreme Court ruling that sex in the Equality Act means biological sex. This is going to affect toilets, not just toilets, but changing rooms, hospitals, leisure centres, refuges, and other services for trans people. This is not some abstract concept. It's about whether they can go and use the gym, go to the cafe, use a public toilet, access healthcare, or simply exist without being challenged anywhere they are in public spaces. And yeah, women's safety absolutely matters. But just look at the facts. Who is causing the most harm to women right now? Cisgender men. Oh, absolutely. Fucking nearly 100% of harm caused to women comes from cisgender men. And this opens up a whole fucking can of worms for women who, aren't trans, but are, butch lesbians, gender non-conforming women, intersex people, anyone who does not fit into a strict concept of Western femininity. Paula, thank you. Paul, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Sorry for all the comments. I was attacked years ago, which left me blind in one eye, and with brain surgery, I'm committed to defeat the right. Thanks, Paul. Thank you very much for the super chat, and I'm sorry that happened to you, mate. That is fucking horrific. I'm really sorry. I'm really fucking sorry, mate. But yeah. Alvone says, I used to think when rights were won, then that was it. But now I'm older and I realise that rights are just temporary and you have to keep fighting for them. Yeah. Can we have a Boba Fetty for L? Yes, you can absolutely have a Boba Fetty. We'll have a Boba Fetty. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Boba Fetty. There we go. Boba Fetty. That's for L. That's for L McPherson. Who we love. We love. We love. More harm is caused by cis women than trans women. Yeah, that's true as well. Paul, no need to apologise for anything here, pal. Yeah, Martin. Yeah, don't worry about leaving comments, mate. You can leave as many comments as you like. You know, I mean, I'll try and read out as many as I can. Even if the guidance is what we expect, isn't it illegal and unworkable? Do we have any idea how this could shake out? Well, no. I mean, there's a court case going through with the Good Law Project at the moment, just trying to say, like, what are we supposed to be doing here? And also this, it's been delayed and delayed and delayed because it's going to fuck things for everybody, not just trans women. It's going to fuck things for every single person who likes having rights on this fucking island, and on the island of Ireland as well, in Northern Ireland. It's fucking the Windsor Framework, because when it comes to human rights, they're supposed to be keeping to European EU laws. The reason for that is because the European Court of Human Rights and the European Commission, the European Convention of Human Rights, underpins the Good Friday Agreement. So Northern Ireland still has to be held to those standards, and we're making it so our standards are lower than that of the EU's when it comes to the treatment of trans people. And you know, if Labour are going to claim to be fighting the populist right while, you know, adopting its emotional architecture, I mean, every pressure point that is put on Labour, they're just going, oh, we need to sound tougher. We need to sound tougher than Refuck. Refuck want to kill everyone who's not the same as them. Well, Nigel Farage hoovers up all the fucking cash. That's what that's their future. Look what's happening in America. That's what they want to happen here. Now they look at Trump. They look at Elon Musk making billions upon billions. He's going to become the world's first trillionaire when SpaceX gets floated on the stock exchange. The party, Labour Party, needs to defend minorities without it sounding like it's dismissing public concerns. And there's a narrative that is to be told there. There is a story to be told about the positive impact of immigrants, about the positive impact of LGBTQ people in our society. And what happens, tell the story about what happens when society says, no, this person is not welcome in society. Tell them the story of Alan Turing, guy who shaved 2 years off the war. Like, there are millions of people who are alive today that would not be here. Perhaps even billions that wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Alan Turing. And I know that it's that great man sort of thing where you go, oh, well, this one person changed the course of history, but he really fucking did. And this isn't to undermine the achievements of the other code breakers, the Polish code breakers in Bletchley Park, or the work of Tommy Flowers, the GPO employee who built the Colossus machine that managed to break one of the top ciphers that the top brass used by the Nazis. But don't forget, by the summer of 1945, the Americans had developed a nuclear bomb. They had 2 of them at that point. It would take them another year or so to make another one. But you think that if D-Day hadn't gone the way that they wanted it to, if the Allied powers hadn't taken over Berlin by then, right? Do you think they wouldn't have dropped one on Berlin? I say, listen, Hitler, fuck off, just vaporize the cunt. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, and then what did we do? What did we do? What did the British society? What did the British culture do to Alan Turing? They found out he was gay, and they forced him to take synthetic estrogen, which caused his body to change its shape. He grew breasts, became incredibly depressed, lost all his friends. He had a security clearance taken away from him, so he couldn't even get on with the work. This guy was a fucking genius. Not only did he shorten the war by 2 years, he would have, you know, he worked on the Manchester Mark I computer. We would have been the leaders of computers here in the UK if we had just let that guy fucking live. But we didn't. We didn't let him live because it was more important to us to win points in some kind of moral battle against homosexuality. That was more important to us. And I know it's easy to look back on hindsight and say, well, what would have happened had Alan Turing still been allowed to just get on with his work? Where we could have been today. We could have been Intel. We could have been IBM. We could have been Microsoft. We could have been Facebook. We could have been fucking X, whatever the fuck it's called, Twitter. All those untold billions could be coming to us. But no, it was more important at the time to punish a guy who had done nothing wrong because of who he was and who he found attractive. Was he hurting anyone? No. Was he sexually assaulting anyone? No. And that is I mean, you tell that to a person who's running around going, oh, we need to stop trans people, and get them to fucking say, no, actually, I think it's a good thing what we did to Alan Turing. Get them to say it. Get them to say it out of their face. Record them saying it. Put them on the fucking internet. See how it goes down at their work. See how it goes down with the kids in school. See how it goes down with like the rest of the family. Yeah. So Labour needs to do better. We've got to keep saying this until Labour does fucking better. And we need to be honest. We need to tell a better story. We need to talk about systems that need rules, public services that need funding, borders that need competence, and minorities that do not deserve to be used as political punchbags. Now, Wes Streeting has said that Labour must be bolder or risk handing number 10 to refuck. I don't think he's wrong on this. He's right. He's right when he says that Labour can't tread water. But the direction that Starmer has been taking the party in has been fucking ridiculous. It's idiotic, you know? But Streeting's now saying he thinks the government lacks urgency. Well, yeah, he was part of it. And I guess that's frustrating, but Labour need to tell a story of national renewal, not just managerial competence. That was one of the big mistakes that the EU made, by the way. They thought that the results would speak for themselves. When they invested £1.9 billion in Liverpool to get Liverpool off its arse, more than the government's ever done, successive governments have ever done, to help out my city, my hometown, right? They didn't crow about it. They fucking should have done. They were just like, managerial competence, bureaucracy, yay. The economy's gone up by X amount. When there were buildings being built, I'd hesitate to call the city centre a slum before then, because obviously I've been to slums and they're nothing like that. But I mean, compared with other major cities around the world, it was fucking embarrassing. It's disgusting. Cheves Park was a shithole. The Moat House Hotel was disgusting. The Paradise Street car park was a laughable that it was called Paradise. Jesus Christ. It was a fucking disgusting NCP car park, block built, brutalist architecture, because brutalist architecture is for cars, not for humans. It's for cars. You see, they build it for cars. So there's lots of room for cars to go and park in the brutalist concrete shithole with a bus station underneath it. They put a bus station under. They did the same in Manchester, didn't they? Is it Charlotte Street bus station in Manchester? They build a multi-story car park and then put a bus station underneath. Because the fumes from those buses, those diesel fumes, you just want to breathe them in. Why would you want it to be in the open air when you can breathe in all those diesel fucking fumes? Yeah. And these things that Labour do, they'll do a thing. They'll do, okay, we're going to have free bus rides for children in August, right? And food tariff cuts, yeah, that might help at the margins. And fuel duty freezers are politically popular. But you need to tie them in to an overarching narrative. And that's what Labour are so fucking bad at. Comes back to comms. Great British Summer Savings Scheme sounds like a fucking supermarket promotion, not a government philosophy. Labour need to connect this story to a bigger picture, one of transport, food, energy, wages, business, bills, security, and rights and freedoms. My attitude is hardening all the time on Labour. Cis people are afraid of reform, but still willing to give Labour the time of day more and more. of us see it as selfishness. I think one of the reasons for that, Kirsty, is just there is no alternative. There isn't. The Greens are not going to win enough seats in the next election. They can't. They don't have the money. You know, I mean, I'm sure they have a lot of bright young things that want to push for change and everything, but the chances of them winning. I mean, you saw in the local elections a couple of weeks ago, right? That the Greens didn't do that well. Not compared with Refuck. And yeah, the first thing that Refuck want to do is to take away the Human Rights Act and to pull us out of the European Convention on Human Rights. So yeah, you know my philosophy is, and I'm not being glib about this, it's just keep going at Labour, keep going at them. I think a new leader will help. Andy Burnham's been good on LGBTQ rights in Manchester, he has, and hopefully he can bring that to the Labour Party as Prime Minister. I'm not going to bet my house on it. It is a hope, but it will be a damn sight better than what Starmer's doing, which is not making a connection and making life worse for trans people. Seemingly like, I don't know, it's like the cruelty of indifference. He just doesn't seem to give a fuck, does he? I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I think it's fucking heartbreaking. Chris says, but I agree, Labour under Starmer and actually Blue Labour has been the biggest disappointment going. It's going to take decades of rebuilding trust. That's where I do disagree with that, Chris, because yeah, I do agree it's fucking disappointing as shit, just putting it mildly. But I don't think it's going to take decades to rebuild trust. I don't. It doesn't. Realistically, and I'll say this because, and I know you're thinking, Graham, what the fuck? But I say this because in the past, whenever there's been an unpopular leader, so think about Thatcher in 1990. I mean, there were riots in fucking Kent over her stupid fucking poll tax. They got rid of it and they went on to win an election 2 years later with John Major, the most boring man in politics. Well, until Starmer came along. Yeah, the Reform guy in Makerfield has his Twitter account closed. Yeah, Tisk. Yeah. I mean, he's a fucking nightmare. He's a Nazi. He's a fucking right-wing gobshite, by the looks of things. Hopefully Refuck do fold up and 30p Lee, etc. scatter to Egypt with Tice. Yeah, that's what I hope. And Gallifreyan says, no, voting for the actual Nazis is still worse than the Nazi appeasers. Yeah, I mean, the Refuck will fuck everything for everyone. And even worse for trans people. I mean, they want to put trans people in camps. Like, that's what they want to do. They want to bring back conversion therapy, which Labour have said in the King's Speech they're going to get rid of for trans people, as well as the rest of the LGBTQ plus community. The horror show that you're seeing in America right now will play out over here and will be arguably worse because in America, Donald Trump can't change the Constitution. Refuck with one extra MP than the opposition parties can change the Constitution. Which is very, very fucking hard to change back. Yeah, these right-wing gobshites seem to appeal to ordinary people more than progressive people. Yeah, because they tell a compelling narrative. They tell a compelling story, and the left don't. We're all fighting amongst ourselves all the fucking time. And when we're confronted with a moral quandary, like, do we keep supporting that Andy Burnham now that he said that he's got to keep fucking our Home Secretary's idiotic and cruel policies towards asylum seekers and towards people looking for settled status in this country? Life is full of moral quandaries, and the right win on this point because they don't have any fucking morals. Isn't that catch-22, isn't it? You got to have morals to be on the left, but if you got morals, it stops you getting anywhere. Now, I just want to talk briefly about what I think is Burnham's secret weapon. It is the Centre for Cities reports come out, and it's shown that Manchester has seen the biggest fall in inner city deprivation amongst the city's studies between 2010 and 2025, Burnham can say buses back under public control, regional growth, civic pride, free buses in the city centre, practical devolution. Makerfield's not central Manchester, but they'll look at what's happened in Manchester and say, why can't that happen here? So what Burnham's challenge is to make Manchesterism feel national, not just for Manchester, but look what I did here. I can do that for everywhere, including Makerfield. And I would suggest that the right want to push the narratives that he's flip-flopped on things. He's U-turned. He's a liar. He wants to take us back in the EU. He doesn't want to take us back in the EU. He wants to make things worse for trans people. He wants to make things better for trans people. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. And one of the things that is going to be a litmus test for this election and for Burnham's, leadership going forward if he becomes Prime Minister is, can he bat these away? Can he say, no, I'm leaving fucking that's not what people, this is the line that you use. This is not what the people on the doorstep are talking about. Labour basically has a choice here. It can either chase reform votes, which is not going to get, they're gone, forget about it, or it can panic, I guess, and just like Nigel Farage, he's got a point, or they can create their own story to tell, and Starmer's not the guy to do that. He's too vague. Talks about change without showing people what the change means. He's shit at it. He's genuinely shit at it. So like I said, the option here really for me, fucking go big or go home. Rebuild public services, tell the truth about migration, defend minorities, devolve power, and give people a country that's worth believing in. Not just living in, not just surviving in, but believing in. Like people believed in Brexit. Jesus Christ. That was one of the accounts, wasn't it, called Believe? Fucking hell. But, go big or go home. No performative toughness. No slogan politics. No sacrificing vulnerable people to appease the fucking oil companies, J.K. Rowling and the fucking tabloids. We need a government with a spine and a story and a moral centre that we can all get on board. And I know it's difficult. I'm not gonna sit here and go, oh, it's dead easy. If I was in charge, I'll fucking. I don't think I could. It's fucking hard. It is absolutely. Think about people I've pissed off in the past. Just being me. I'll make a terrible politician, I think, because I just say the wrong thing all the time. Put my fucking foot in it. But at least we've got a way, a mechanism for changing things at the moment. If we get in 2029, that mechanism goes away. And that's what we have to focus on right now. And this isn't to say you should vote for Labour or you should support Labour financially or anything like that, but you can push them, and you should push them every fucking day. Just get pushing those motherfuckers until they do the right thing. The problem with Starmer, says Chris, is he was a decent opposition leader. You saw the fire behind him. His actual PM is worse than the wet paper bag. Yeah, I agree. It's counterintuitive to the average person. The past and the status quo are what they are, even though progressive politics have improved every metric. Yeah, they have. If it's between any Reform leader or Burnham, then it's obviously Burnham. Greens won't win. Yeah, the Greens don't stand a chance. Greens don't stand a chance. I mean, I don't think they stand a chance in this constituency. Caroline Lucas said they shouldn't bother even fucking standing. They don't have to. Starmer was turned into the Ming vase instead of just carrying it. Yes, very good point. And Gallifrey says, the only thing I believe in is the power of garlic. A little bit of garlic bread. Just because the government ignores professional medical advice doesn't mean the professionals that care will follow easily. Yeah, £1.50. That's another annoying thing, that the government seem to be listening to the opinions of people who have got no medical training at all over that of the GMC. When they say, listen, you can't do this. You can't do this to trans people. You can't do this to trans kids. And the government's like, no, but we spoke to this lobby group who have been paid by the fucking oil companies, Aramco have paid lots of money to these people to come on the TV and tell you that the biggest problem in life is trans people, when it's absolutely 100% not. I'll take a bet you're wrong that the Greens won't have a decent return, says Hilgara. Okay. If refuck get in 2029, the only people who will benefit are the wealthy and powerful. Ordinary folks will be fucked over so badly they won't know what's hit them. Yes. Yeah. And like I say, this is not a sales pitch. This is not a sales pitch for Labour for you to vote for them. What I'm saying is, get on them. Get on them relentlessly. Do not let it go. Let Ivan Ambrose be an example to you, that he just hassled his MP to such an extent that his MP went, yeah, okay, you've got a good point. I will make it in Parliament. And he did. And things changed. It can be done. And it couldn't be done under the Tories. And I tell you now, refuck, they're not going to listen to a fucking word you say. Absolutely shocking scenes coming out of where was this place yesterday? Did anyone see this Kirklees Council? And it was like one of these refuckers saying they don't know how it works. They don't know how anything works. They don't know how anything works. They don't know how anything works. And it's unconstitutional to expect them to know how it works. And one of the other women there, who was, I think, a Labour person, just stood up and said, "This is disgusting. You should have learned how you represent the people that voted you in to represent you." Fucking grim. Phil, what are you saying? We're talking about there's a new poll out from More in Common, right? If Labour, if Andy Burnham was the leader and Labour, if Andy Burnham was the leader and there's a general election tomorrow, Labour would beat Reform. And I know we're not going to have an election for 3 years and things will change, but I'm hoping that refuck have hit the plateau. But having Andy Burnham as leader, according to this More in Common poll, gives Labour an 8-point boost. And that's not nothing. That is not nothing. Yeah. So, and do you know, we were talking about Greens not doing that well in the local elections, not as well as I think they thought they were going to. Since the May 2026 elections, 13 councillors have already triggered by-elections by resigning or being rendered ineligible or being elected mayor or something. And yeah, there's 8 of them are Green, 5 of them are refuck. That's not great, is it? I'll advise you Lake 8 Curse has the thinnest skin of any MP, and that cowardly cretin will send the police if you email him. Jesus Christ. Fellow trans people, I advocate stocking up on meds, in-house pharmacy, etc. Import a stash. We all know they're coming for our meds and to force detransition. Yeah. Chris says, Graham, I've hassled my MP and not received a single reply. Yeah, keep going. Be inspired by Andy from The Shawshank Redemption, where they gave him a library just to stop him sending fucking letters. But yeah, I know if you've got a Labour MP, they're usually a bit better at getting back to you. It's not guaranteed, but if you've got a Tory MP, or if you've got even worse, if you've got a refuck MP, I'm very sorry. Yeah, get that shit sorted. I don't know what you can do with a fucking refucker. Maybe move. So yeah, where are we? So yeah, Labour are putting out a thing today saying net migration down 82%. Max has put they keep saying this is a good thing. Yeah, it's not, and it's because they don't have control of the narrative. They don't have control of the narrative. That is the big problem. And I don't think Labour have had control of the narrative for a long time. They've been reactive. They've been reacting to the Tories being shit. That's how they got into power. We wanted them to be less shit than the Tories, but because they're so bad at fucking speaking, they can't say what needs to be said to get people on board with their narrative because they haven't got a fucking narrative. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. My Labour MP only seems to be bothered about representing Exeter, which is a majority boomer generation. Yeah. I don't think you seem to understand. My Labour MP is sending me to prison for communicating with him, says Hilgara. Sending you to prison for communicating with him? Hilgara, write to the papers. Write to the papers on that one. What? It's threatening you with legal action for writing? Were you threatening? Were you saying you were going to, I don't know, eat his babies or something? What the fuck? Yeah, go to the papers. Go the news desks and all the papers will fucking lap that shit up. Especially if it's a Labour MP. That'll learn him. But Bolskov sounds about right for an NEC member who parachuted themselves into Durham after last standing in Oxford and losing. Is that Luke Akehurst? Kirsty says, fellow trans peeps, advocate stocking. I've read that one. He extremely careful with right-wing Labour types. Be extremely careful with right-wing. Hilgara, go to the papers. Seriously, I'm fucking serious here. Go to the papers. Put in a complaint with the NEC. The Labour's National Executive Committee. Put in a complaint and show what they've done. Because if you're living in fear of your MP, that is really fucked up. And there are things you can do about that. Kicking up a fuss would be the first thing I would do. Write to the NEC. Write to the papers. Go on any of the websites for the newspapers, and there's always like a press desk or something. Have you got a story? Labour MP tells, threatens constituent with jail for simply sending them a letter is going to be a news story. I guarantee it. So yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna hit over to the papers now. We got the Times. Streeting sets to ditch leadership bid if Burnham wins by-election, which is sensible because he will win anyway. William's joy as Villa triumph in Europe. Oh, the happy man. Look at the happy little royal. He's only worth billions, but he's there having a happy day. I don't know why does he support? Does anyone know why Prince William supports Aston Villa, like a team from Birmingham? Why does he support them? If anyone knows, let me know. Easing oil sanctions will fund Putin's war machine. That was said in Prime Minister's questions yesterday. We got the tragedy of these three sisters who were killed on Brighton Beach, which is just absolutely heartbreaking. Just the worst story imaginable. We got bank chief joins attack on freezing food prices. Governor warns cap wouldn't solve cost of living crisis as retailers dismiss policy as preposterous. Yeah, they don't like it, do they? They don't like anything that threatens the return for their shareholders. Labour's happy shoppers. Chancellor to drive down prices of over 100 food cupboard staples. Starmer pledges to ease burden with free holiday bus rides for kids. Shoppers could save on food and staples like baked beans, crisps and margarine on the government plans to help with the cost of living. Chancellor Rachel Reeves will cut tariffs on more than 100 items and kids will get free bus rides throughout August. Cool. Why Women Can Never Trust Andy Burnham by Joan Smith. I guarantee that's going to be a transphobic article there by Joan Smith, who, let's have a look at her. You're all thinking it, aren't you? I don't want to say it, but you're all thinking it. Yeah? She's going to have trouble going for a piss in the bold, beautiful world that she envisages. Just saying. Putin jets menace RAF plane with crazy Ivan stunts as Kemi bass Starmer for easing sanctions on Russian oil. They're not easing the sanctions, but that's the narrative that people are going to go with. And then it tried to be explained what is happening in PMQs yesterday. And Starmer, we got Boba Fetty. Where'd that come from? Don't worry, Boba Fetty, you weren't supposed to appear. Naughty confetti. Is Elle all right? Did Elle come back? Has Elle disappeared from the chat? I can't see Elle's name coming up. I might have to text her. Or write to her. I don't know if I've got a number. Shit. Let's make a note. Okay. What was I talking about? Oh, the Russian oil thing. Okay, so they're not easing sanctions. There's a new round of sanctions coming in, but instead of them coming in tomorrow, they're going to come in a few weeks' time, so they can buy some oil in the meantime. Under the sanction regime that's already there. Food price cap retreat after backlash from supermarkets. So we've got kind of conflicting stories here. We've got Labour's happy shoppers here, and then we've got the iPaper here. Food price cap retreat. Okay, whatever. We've got reality TV's race to the bottom with Love at First Sight, which is not Love at First Sight, Married at First Sight, which is really fucking grim. We've got the story here about Sienna Spiro. I don't want to be called the next Adele. Okay, let's look up Sienna. What's her story? I've not heard of her before. She's a singer-songwriter. Oh, isn't that sweet? So she's 20 years old, and she does pop and jazz, which is nice, isn't it? Oh, she's 20 years old, and she's doing quite well as an artist. Question for you, friends, in the chat. Do you think she may, this is the woman in the top right of the Telegraph here, do you think she may have gone to private school? Okay, I'll put you out your misery. She did. She absolutely went to private school because, of course, she did, because she's allowed to become an artist. We're not allowed to become artists, us normal staties. William wills Villa to victory there. That's the future king there, getting very excited about the football. Don't cap food prices, bank warns Reeves. Then we've got snooping. HMRC changes tax codes but gets it wrong. Snooping. The way they report this shit. You know, the words they use are just fucking disgusting. Drone retreat forces Lithuanian president to hide in bomb shelter. Drone threat forces Lithuanian president to hide in bomb shelter. Fucking hell. Trans women banned from female spaces. This is Bridget Phillipson today, as I mentioned. Fucking grim. Absolutely fucking grim as fuck. Bridget Phillipson should fucking hang her head in shame. Brighton sea victims were 3 sisters. Lavender could be lifesaver in bomb blasts. What? Billionaires fight to moves to scrap Brexit. Billionaires to fight moves to scrap Brexit. God, that story there at the bottom of the I don't know if you can read it very well, but that just tells you everything you fucking need to know, doesn't it? Billionaires to fight moves to scrap Brexit. Billionaires like it. How are you getting on? Israel kidnapped Scottish flotilla activist. Fucking disgraceful from Netanyahu, but what do we expect? And then we've got, it's King Charles the Third, as a seagull pooped on the king. We've got the Daily Telegraph. No thank you to another MP who does not back women. Go fuck yourself to unalignment. The Express there. We've got the Guardian. How Britain fell in love with second-hand clothes. Pep talk. Burnham backs Mahmoud's plans to tighten up rules on immigration, which is something I was talking about today. Putin and Xi warns US over law of the jungle. AI tipped for Nobel within the year. It's the idea that the Nobel Prize is going to be won by AI, or it will make a Nobel Prize winning achievement or something by the end of the year. And then there's a picture of the 3 sisters who died off the coast of Brighton. Just a really, really, really sad story. We'll come back to the daily to the FT in a moment. Burnham's rivals rants reveals. This is interesting. This is the guy that Burnham's running against in Makerfield. Plumber posted about native population and foreign invasion and was even booted off X. Worth pointing out, my friends. Worth pointing out at every opportunity. Will Phillipson be giving an address on the guidance? Are we covering it? I don't know if she is. I don't really want to cover it because I fucking hate her and I'll get very sweary and angry. But yeah, it's yeah. UK net migration has dropped to 171,000 in 2025, the lowest since 2012, excluding the pandemic. So there you go. A jaw-dropping change in immigration totals, and it may go into net migration actually going below zero, so more people actually leave the country than arrive here, which I think is not great. And the Home Secretary has said that Labour is restoring order. They're restoring order. You're not the law and order party. You never will be. You're the party of education, education, education. You're the party of the Sure Start schemes. You're the party of civil unions between gay couples, which came under Labour. You're the party that got rid of Section 28. You're not supposed to fucking reinstitute it for trans people. Fucking dickheads. So yeah, asylum hotel numbers down by 1/3 as well. And the number of people claiming asylum is down by 12%. But still, that's more than double the level seen just before the pandemic, because obviously Brexit made it a lot easier for people to come here and stay here. Sorry, I've been quite tough. Sorry, I've been quiet today. Tough subject. I've got to go. Sarah, sending love. Sending love. I know it's tough talking about this. I just like the fact that we have a bit of the internet where we can talk about it without fucking trolls turning up and being fucking horrible and saying really horrible, hurtful things. So I'm grateful for that. I'm really grateful for the people who watch this show. And I don't mean to depress the living shit out of you. And I know that a few of you get in touch with me after the show and be like, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot. We do put the number for the Samaritans in the every time we do a show on here. There's the number for the Samaritans in the blurb, and that's because I know it's a lot. It is a fucking lot. But thank you for, you know, fucking staying with us and for, you know, fighting the good fight in the few ways that we can. Right, I'm back shopping away ish and about to tuck into a Danish pastry. Oh, that sounds good. Did you get a free pastry from Lidl? I love them. Gallifreyan ran, yeah, but the problem is the horrible trolls saying horrible things in government. I don't think they're necessarily trolls. I think you're right though that they're not pushing back. You know, imagine if I did this show and we got some transphobes in the chat and they were being horrifically transphobic, and me and all the mods were like, "Oh, this is fine." You know, you got to allow people to have their say. That's what Labour's like at the moment. You got to allow these people to have their say. No, these people are fucking being horrible to a minority for no reason. And to think that Marks and Spencer used to have a penny bazaar when it was first established, probably the only time they tried to save people money. Yeah. I mean, M&S is famous for just repackaging food and just charging twice as much for it. Saragon says, Reform UK, 22 councillors stepped down, sacked or suspended from local government seats they won. Yeah, is that still since last year? Yeah. I'm sending out hugs to Sarah there from Starreese. Dear says, I feel helpless. I really want to be an ally, an advocate. You're not helpless, Diz. None of us are. Even this, you don't know. You don't know who's watching this. You don't know who's reading our comments. We might be changing people's minds. We don't know. And it might have a butterfly effect. We do what we can, you know? I haven't got any fucking money to fight this properly against the fucking billionaires who are, you know, backing Brexit, backing transphobia, because it's good money for them. No. I don't give a fuck. You don't make $1 billion by having morals. I'll tell you that now. Financial Times here. Is this Britain's answer to Warren Buffett, the hedge fund billionaire, committed stock picker, and devoted philanthropist? Okay, if you say so. Putin mission. Xi warns on law of the jungle. President Xi and his Russian counterpart Putin have a welcoming ceremony at Beijing yesterday. Xi warned that unilateralism had put the world at risk. Well, yeah, that's having a go at America, isn't it? Supermarket backlash forces Reeves into turn over grocery price caps. We've got there's conflicting messages coming out at the moment on this one. Then we've got the briefing here. China blocked Nvidia chip during Huang visit. Sorry. And then we've got EU-US trade deal struck. EU lawmakers have reached a provisional deal to implement a trade pact signed nearly a year ago with the US in the hope of averting the White House threat of extra tariffs. Stan Chart changes tone. Bank chief Bill Winters has tried to limit the fallout after saying AI would replace lower value human capital. Fucking Jesus, dickheads. Bank in China tech switch. Morgan Stanley has given its Hong Kong investment unit special devices to use in mainland China. Tankers accept Hormuz. 3 oil super tankers carrying crude to Asia tried to pass through the Strait of Hormuz 2 days after Iran announced that the new authority would oversee shipping through the waterways. I don't know if they got through or not, it doesn't say. OpenAI readies for IPO. I mentioned this. The AI lab is aiming. Oh, sorry, I mentioned the one about SpaceX, but OpenAI is aiming for this as well. Aiming for a $1 trillion listing as soon as September, is preparing to file as the move early this week. Say people familiar with the plans. HG spins out assets and 2-jet solution Wade. The head of Airbus's defense arm has said that he is open to a 2-fighter jet solution for Europe's faltering next generation air defense project. We've got judge probing death of Mango founder points to son's obsession with money. The judge investigating the death of billionaire founder of fashion retailer Mango has said there were signs that the founder's son had a premeditated role in the fatal mountain fall, as well as an obsession with money that fed a difficult relation with the two. Yeah, well, most rich people are fucking obsessed with money. This why they're rich. Fury over Trump's $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund. The creation of the US this week of a $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund has attracted bipartisan fury. The fund is part of a settlement to half a $10 billion lawsuit that President Donald Trump brought over the Biden-era leak of his tax returns that also bars authorities from ever pursuing tax claims against Trump. So there you go. I've already had my sausage sarnie. Might have a toasty after though. Oh, sweet. I feel the same. I stand with our lovely diverse community. Yeah, and I love the fact that we are diverse. I love the fact we've got people from all walks of life on here and all sexualities, genders, races, religions. I think that's wonderful. I think that, and by and large, we all get on. And if someone in the chat is not having a good time, everyone else in the chat comes and gives them virtual hugs and says, you matter to us. And like I say, I mean, one of the things that we've kind of lost in recent years is a sense of connection, a sense of community. And that's why I absolutely love the community that we've built here. I see this more of a, I wish I could do more, to be honest with you, but it's only so many hours in a day. But yeah, I hope that we can build up this channel and get more people on board who are kind of feeling a little bit politically homeless at the moment and a little bit like their voice isn't being listened to, because here someone's listening to you, someone's listening, and also there might be 100 people watching this, but 1,000 people watch these videos. A lot of people watch them after the fact. So hello, people watching on catch up. But yeah, your messages get through. They're on the screen. They pop up. Chris says, I will never stand for any form of discrimination. Well, maybe I would stand back if the boomer generation was being discriminated against, but all other forms, I'll actively stand up and call it out. I don't want discrimination against the boomer generation. I just want a sense of fairness, so they don't leave the world a worse place than they found it. If that means calling them out, then so be it. Sheffield Steve, and there is on the FT's front page, supermarket backlash because the government might be looking to help the poorest people in the cost of living crisis. Fuck them, the rich twats. Yeah. I've already had my sausage sarnie. Might have a toasty later though. Gosh, you're making me so hungry. Everyone's talking about food. I haven't had any breakfast yet. Remember to do things you enjoy outside politics though. It's so important. Yes. Absolutely, Alvo, and I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Yeah. Hannah Mangatune says, Not all boomers. Should we get the boomers thing? Not all boomers, just most of them. Just the vast majority. Not all of them. I mean, there's three who are all right. He says. Yes, I'm a cheeky fucker. What do you want? What do you want? I want boomers to acknowledge that property booms are what's ruined this country. Yeah. I want them to acknowledge that they're leaving a worse world for their children and grandchildren than they found. They've left the world a worse place than they found it. And I want them to reflect on that and maybe push for, energy net zero. Sorry, energy net zero, but carbon net zero carbon. Energy self-sufficiency, energy sovereignty. But put those fucking power lines up. Get the grid built up. Massive subsidies on electric cars. Get everyone in an electric vehicle in 3 years. It can be done. Last year in Norway, every single vehicle that was sold in Norway, every new vehicle that was sold in Norway was electric. Every single one. My grandparents hate Farage like I do. Okay, five people. 5 of them are all right. Surely it's the greedy of all ages that have ruined things, says Cuthbert. No. Because the greedy teenagers right now can't afford to buy property. Certainly can't afford to buy 5 houses and then call them an investment and put people in there who have to pay half of their wages, so they're working all day, and half their money goes to somebody else to pay off their mortgage on their second house, third house, fourth house. The house that they're looking after and opening the windows. Go get a house. Go on, and leave it empty for 6 months. See what it looks like when you get back. See there was a leaking pipe and no one told you, so the ground floor is flooded. See how much fucking mold you have up the fucking walls because no one's been opening the windows and letting air fucking circulate. The air's got really stagnant. Damp has got in through the walls. No one's told you. Yeah, go on, do that. Go on, tell me about your investment if there's no one in there to look after it. But I'll tell you what, get the people who go in there to look after it. Get them to fucking pay. Getting them to pay to look after your shit. Fuck that. We need more council houses. We need more social houses. If people are going to be paying rent, I want them to be paying rents to the corpy, to the local council. We wouldn't need such high benefit if property was affordable. It is supporting them and their banker mates that makes the benefit bill so high. Yep, Bullscott, because a lot of money that goes in benefits ends up going into the pockets of landlords. The landlord class has ruined this country. And the vast majority of them are boomers. Who now 1 in 4, it used to be 1 in 5, but now it's 1 in 4 boomers are millionaires. While the rest of us are fighting over fucking scraps, begging for £2 super chats. Do you know what I mean? Like the economic disparity between the retired in this country who don't have to work but get loads of money every day for not working because they've worked enough. I've worked enough. I've done enough now. I just want to sit on my arse and let other people pay for me to live a life that I've become accustomed to do nothing. Yeah. I wish we could take a step back. I wish we could take a step back and view the planet from another star and just go, what the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? Crazy. The state pension makes up 58% of the welfare bill. The other 42% split between universal credit, paper carers allowance, etc. Carers allowance, yeah, you want all £72 a week of it, yeah. I'm the 3 and 4, says John. Oh, yay! Well, you might be one of the good ones then. But yeah, then at the same time, 1 in 5 pensioners are living in poverty. I mean, they don't even want to help each other out. Never mind the other generational cohorts. Anyway, Gen Z is the first generation with less IQ than their parents. Less IQ. Lower IQ, I think you'll find that should be. Than their parents' historic age of information has dumbed us all down, lol. But that's maybe because millennials are particularly intelligent. Maybe I'm part of a particularly intelligent cohort. Maybe. Because I'm pretty sure that millennials are smarter than boomers. I mean, we know how to attach a fucking file to an email. Miss Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Having looked at the tables of another more in common poll, I'm skeptical about the Burnham pool, for which no tables found, no methodology section makes me skeptical. Well, I mean, I know that Starmer was unpopular because I go out and talk to people, never mind the polls. But also you've got the election results last year and this year. Labour got their asses kicked. So, yeah, it might not be right. I don't know. Maybe Starmer, maybe Burnham is going to be just as unpopular as Starmer. I don't know. But I'm willing to give it a fucking go. Because at the moment, the status quo is not working. So, yeah. Thank you for the super chat. I'm going to launch the confetti. There you go. Have some confetti. Have some confetti. So, okay. I'm going to be back later today. I'm going to do a show this evening, and probably about 6 o'clock. We'll have to see. It could be drawn together. It could be Reform Watch. It could be a show about what the new guidelines are from the Equalities and Human Rights Commission. I don't know if that's come out yet, but when it does, we might talk about that. Blah, blah, CW. You're not a millennial, Graham. I fucking am a millennial. I'll have you know. I don't have a proper job. I don't have a car. I don't have a house in this country. How much more millennial do you want me to be? I spend all my money on experiences and gigs and festivals. I've got Gen Xers who are younger than me, who like shit music, like Brian fucking Adams and Bon Jovi and all that 80s power ballad shite. You know, that's not mine. That's not my generation's music. My generation's music is fucking good. So yeah, I'm millennial prime. I invented this fucking cohort and decided how we should all fucking conduct ourselves. Yeah, I'm definitely not Generation X. I mean, they're almost as bad as the fucking boomers these days. Pricks. I'm just gonna go through the alphabet and just piss off every generation who's watching. You're not a dickhead. I'm joking. Saying I'm not a millennial. I made my Ukrainian neighbor laugh. Dude with an island, I have no house. Yeah, I could never get on the housing ladder in this country. The reason why I've got an island is I won it in a game show, which is possibly the most millennial thing that anyone's ever done, next to going to every country in the world on public transport. Yeah. Not all Gen X says this. Oh my God. Not all Gen X like shit music. I was Gen X, born 2 years prior to the most divisive PM that ever ruined our lives. That made me depressed. Sheffield Steve, yeah, fucking Thatcher, fucking gobshite. But yeah, my siblings are all Gen X, but I'm very different to my 3 siblings. I'm the youngest, clearly. You can't tell, can you? And I'm very different. I'm very different in my outlook and my priorities and what I care about, and just pretty much everything, really. But yeah, they've got my older brother's got like a pension and shit. He's got a fucking pension. The fuck is that? A pension? So I've got no pension, no house, no car. I don't really have much stuff. I've got my Guinness World Record certificates. I'm happy about that. But yeah, most of my stuff I can fit into a backpack. Chris C says, I'm a proud millennial born in 1984. Well done. And Sheffield Steve says, bingo! Okay, so I'm going to head off. Like I said, we might do a show late. Well, we'll do a show later today. So please, if you haven't already, give us a like. Give us a like, because we always like a like on this channel. Subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. And it'll let you know when I'm going to go live later today. Might be at 6 o'clock, might be at 8 o'clock, might be at 9 o'clock. I don't know, but we'll do a show. And then Friday, obviously, we'll be back for Morning Brew at 9 o'clock. We're just coming up to the 2-hour mark. Well, no, we're not. I started 10 minutes late, didn't I? My Guinness World Records podcast should be going out next week. So when that goes out, I'll be trying my first attempt. Won't be my last, but my first attempt at doing a 48-hour solo live stream, which will give me the Guinness World Record for that. Yes, I know there's been longer live streams, but they haven't been solo. Okay, the longest filibuster in Congress in America was 24 hours and 18 minutes or something. So I'm hoping to blow that out the water. I will be sitting down, which will make things a little bit easier. But if you don't think that I can talk for 48 hours straight, You haven't been stuck on a fucking bus ride with me. Across the fucking Serengeti. Cheers, Graham, and the amazing community. Oh, thank you, Chris, and thanks to everyone watching. But yeah, good show, Graham. Oh, thank you very much, Alvaro. Thank you. Listen, take care of yourselves and each other. And thanks for the chats. Thanks for the super chats. Really appreciate it. You keep this channel going, trucking along while I complain about not being a millionaire. All old people are millionaires, aren't they? Oh, I want to be old. Can't wait till I'm old and get all my free money off the government for my triple lock pension, my triple lock gold plated pension. But yes, yeah. So until we see each other again, I will say thank you so much for watching. Thanks to everyone in the chat there. You're fucking awesome. And until next time, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.